Are you ready?
Throw me to the lions.
All right, here you go.
Fantastic. So, hello everybody. I'm talking on blend, but very interestingly, I'm actually going to talk about a few different things before I get to the actual point of my talk, which is all about chocolate. That's the longest 20 seconds I've ever spoken before in my entire life. I actually think that the slides might not be advancing, but hey. That just gives me more time to tell you. I'm an awesome person. There you go. I'm from Canada, and I'm living in the UK. I've had to blend the realization that pants are not necessarily jeans. They're something that you wear underneath your jeans. And also shagged does not mean that I'm tired. So I had to blend being Canadian with being British. But of course, we're all here about wine, and we know that wine gets blended. You know, there's red, there's white. In fact, as a Canadian, I of course have to fly the flag for Canadian wines, and I'm an Ontario girl. So in southern Ontario, we have this amazing vineyard and this amazing winery. It's called Stratus, and they do some amazing wines. But one of the interesting things they do is they make blends, and each year the blend is different. So this 2006 ice wine was of red, 2 different reds, but if you check the 2013, it will be a completely different blend. I tried to find the label because it was like 5 different grapes. But, you know, we're here about chocolate because I'm passionate about chocolate, and what I don't think that you guys know about chocolate is it actually has a lot of flavors, and that we do a lot of blending in chocolate ourselves. We have about 4 different types of chocolate that you can actually grow, and then we have masses of regions around the world that you can get chocolate from. But interestingly, as my slide is cut off and you can't see it, chocolate's a fruit. So chocolate actually comes from the inside of a fruit, and that's the fruit up there, and those are the cocoa beans. And it's all about the bean in chocolate, not a legume. We just call them beans. And they only ever grow in about 20 degrees north and south of the equator. But interesting, unlike wine, we don't blend and create chocolate in the country of origin. We ship it elsewhere to actually make the yummy sweet treat that we end up eating. Very few people, and you can see them on the map, actually make chocolate where the chocolate is grown on the trees. So this is a cocoa pod, and these grow on the actual trunk of the tree. So unlike grapes, they actually are coming straight off the trunk, and if you cut them off wrong, it stops producing cocoa pods, which sucks because that's where all the flavor starts. It starts by being a blend of sun and wind and sand and all the romance. Not really. As you can see here, it's piles upon piles of smelly fruit that they cut open, they compost the outside, and they're only looking for the inside, which you can just see there, the white mucilage covered beans. But the whole process of chocolate doesn't stop there, because this is where the flavor develops. Fermentation. Anything from 1 to 2 days or 3 days up to a week of fermentation goes into making these amazing aromas and flavors that come out of the beans, the cherries, the plums, the fruits, the jasmine sometimes. But here, where we actually roast everything and bring it together and blend all the different beans together to make something that is starting to approach the final chocolate, is where the magic starts to happen. And then, after we've roasted them and conched them and winnowed them, we chuck them into a mélangeur, or we chuck them into various different pieces of machinery and add sugar and blend in milk. And that's where the magic really happens, because that is where we make chocolate. And so you can see now it's come from a fruit to this amazing brown liquid that then is tempered and made into a bar and is turned into the amazing chocolate that we eat. And there's so much about chocolate. We actually use the language of wine to describe chocolate. Hopefully you get to see these slides so you can see the cut-off bits. But we talk about fruits and flavor notes and evolutions on our palate of taste. And this particular chocolate is amazing. It moves from these subtle flavors of jasmine and whatnot, and it moves through different earthy. Sometimes you can get a little burnt, but as you can see here, we're talking about flavors. This is generic for country, but then we get really detailed, and we get into really deep detail about the flavors that you can get. And then then we have these huge wheels with lots and lots of slices of pies. And we go from nutty to floral to fruity. We go all over the place with chocolate. Chocolate is this amazing blend of flavors. And if you just let it melt on your palate, when you take a piece of nice 70% dark chocolate, it will start to envelop your palate, and you'll start to feel all these flavors come through. And in fact, it's so much like wine. My favorite chocolate maker, Soma, in Toronto, blended some chocolate with the wine from Stratus. They actually put the beans in the barrel, and it took up all the flavors, and voila, wine chocolate. And that's the blending of wine and chocolate, which is amazing. Dark chocolate, we talk about 100% nothing else. Just the bean, naked and raw. No sugar, no milk, nothing. But it's dark chocolate. And you know, when we talk about dark chocolate, there's also a darker side to chocolate that is unfortunate, because dark chocolate is the most amazing thing. And what you can't see, the words say, do you think your free trade or Rainforest Alliance chocolate is actually ethical? And one of the big topics in chocolate right now is ethics, because I'd like you to meet your farmers. Now, these farmers are the people who are making your chocolate come to your door. So this young 10-year-old boy was one of many slaves that were sold to cocoa farms to farm our cocoa. So if you're buying from people like Mars, Nestle, they are using chocolate that is being farmed and grown by these 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, etc. And unfortunately, it's a really dark side of chocolate, which is why we add palm oil as well to bad chocolate to take out the cocoa butter and blend in a fat that's cheaper, so we can sell cocoa butter to make lovely lipstick. Awesome lipstick, right? But that's where your cocoa butter is going and where palm oil comes in, unfortunately. So you need to make choices, and you need to make decisions about whether or not you want to make a difference in the life of a 10-year-old boy who's been sold into slavery for 250 euros, which is what just happened the other week. And you can by making choices about the kind of chocolate. And actually the farmers that are worked with in other areas of the world actually make sure that children are not used in the production of their chocolate. These are some of the head farmers from Askinosie Chocolate. Not only does he pay higher than anybody else to these farmers, but he also shares his profits. So he goes back to the country that he bought the chocolate from and gives his profits. But these other companies also share in their good fortune by paying more for beans and ensuring children don't have to be involved in the process of making chocolate. So what I'd like to encourage you all to do is not just slow down and take time to enjoy your chocolate and think about, you know, the flavors that you're tasting, but to make a choice to choose ethical and delicious chocolate instead of child slave labor chocolate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. Well done.